That's what people always say to you, isn't it? Do you have a good Christmas? Happy New Year. I hope you're doing well. It looks like 2021 is just about to kick the arse out of 2020, which is pretty impressive, really. But here we are, and here you are watching my video. So welcome, and I'll do everything I can to try and take your mind off it for a while. Today, I'm going to talk about something that's really dear to my heart and my way of looking at things, which is teams and creating a really great team. I've worked in some brilliant teams, and I've also created some great teams in the businesses that I've worked in. So I just wanted to share some of my experience about creating teams, creating a really great team, and how to do that, the things to work on and to look for, and the features that make up a great team, and just to share some of my experiences in those areas. So, and teams, not just for teamwork and being in a team, isn't just part of business. It's part of life in general, because it's how our species is made up. It's it's what's helped us to evolve to the level that we're at now, the incredibly advanced level that our species is at. Although you wouldn't know it, would you, looking at Washington at the moment with the siege on Capitol Hill? But it is, that's kind of, it's inside us, it's primal, it's instinctual to be part of a team. Now, teams allow you to outcompete rivals, to protect your own, to work together to solve problems and find solutions. And ultimately, that's kind of what brought us from quite an average species through the evolution to where we are today. And it's pretty impressive, pretty incredible. That's how we no longer had to worry about being hunted by saber-toothed cats or by bears or by wolf packs, and where suddenly, with a bit of teamwork, you could build things, and you could have watches where shifts where people would watch out for predators. People started to work together and figure it out, and figure out how to stop this happening, or how to do this, or how to find more food. So the better your team, the stronger the team, the more you're able to win and even dominate. Alone, we're exceptional. But as a team, we're unstoppable. So that's what I'm going to be talking about today. And you can see it today in other primates, in chimps, in monkeys, in different things. The teams that work together and battle together, but work together as a group, as a good group, cohesively, with a good hierarchy, with a good structure. They all share the same features, the same team features in common. The same elements. Because, like I say, teamwork makes the dream work, doesn't it? As corny as that is, that's what they say. So there is something about great teams that is really important to our development and your development as well. So, like my experience, I've worked in hospitality and managing in hospitality, and the science of building a team and the how do I explain, the elements that build a great team, I found it fascinating, and it was something that I really, really enjoyed tinkering and figuring out and fitting the pieces together. It's like building something out of Lego, finding the right piece and putting it here, and finding another piece and putting it here. So if you're building your own team, my advice would be, whether it's a new business or whether you've come into the business, is if you can, is start building your team from scratch. So if you can start with a clean slate with no members there, it's always better, because you can bring in who you want. You can identify the right people and bring those in. It's even better if you can start from scratch, but you can take some key team members that you have from other businesses or from your previous business. Bring those key members into this business, the ones that you trust. So they will help any new members of your group, of your tribe, to integrate, and they'll give an example. They'll demonstrate how you as a manager, as a leader, the expectations that you have of your team. And so that takes the form of them communicating that to the new team members, or even just through body language, just through, for example, when you ask for something to be done, just how quickly it's done. They can see in the body language of the existing team members, that's it. Oh, he expects that done quickly. And if they show in their body language that they're kind of switched on and fast and they need to go and do that as quickly as possible, then maybe I should as well. Maybe it's good for me in this group dynamic to do that as well. So that's why it's important to have those team members. It's a little bit more difficult if you've just come into a new team, but if you have existing team members, you need to. It's not impossible now to build a good team, but it's going to take longer. Maybe it's not as easy, but you'll then have to figure out how to mold the new people who don't know you, how to communicate across your expectations. And so again, I'm talking about this in a business context, but you can put it into any context at all, really. It can be in sports. It can be when you're trying to build something in sports and you want to build a new group of individuals who are going to take on the challenge of trying to win a championship or a trophy or anything else. Exactly the same. So you can have trusted people there who move across with you, and then you integrate other people into the fold, or you can bring everybody in. So what happens then is you bring everybody in, and then the key, kind of the thing that you need to achieve right at the start is team building. So whatever happens from that point, the essential part of the start of building a team is getting that cohesion, getting people trusting each other. Now, whether that's team building through actual exercises, whether that's team building through giving the new team members adversity, things that they've got to overcome together, and working out the dynamics between each other, then that's up to you to figure that out. But team building is essential at the start. So I mean, yeah, if you are looking at building a team now, use this. I'm going to be rattling this off almost like a list. So I'm just going to talk about all the elements that make a great team, that all teams share in common. So use it as a checklist and work through, okay, so this is the thing that I need to work on. These are the things I need to look for when I'm hiring or when I'm looking at the members of the team that I'm trying to build. And you can use it and just check off. So so I'm going to, again, I just want to reiterate, this can be for kind of this can be for any type of team: sports team, family unit, business, friendship group, organisation, charity. So any of these are it's essential that the operations happen within those contexts on a team basis. Being an individual in those groups won't work, and it'll break down the dynamic. So the first element is that you need from your team as a whole, but also from individuals. To be a truly great team is adaptability. And the reason for that is that the market or the playing field or the environment is constantly changing. So as a team, you need to be adaptable. If you stand still and you don't adapt, you won't see progress. You'll get left behind. The family groups or the tribes in ancient humans, the ones who went extinct were the ones who weren't able to adapt. They weren't able to adapt once the climate started to get colder. They weren't able to adapt once the predators moved in to that area. So it's about innovation. You need to be constantly figuring out how to fix yourself quickly to be able to move forward. And that's similarly with individuals. So if you're hiring, look for individuals who display elements of adaptability. Set up exercises within your recruitment drive. So on recruitment days or whatever, set up exercises where people can demonstrate to you their adaptability level. So put things in their way, put obstacles in their way, and how do they beat that? What can they do to get past that? So it's about allowing your team to deal with changing situations, with crises, with things that crop up and it makes their life more difficult. But how do they adapt and overcome that? That's what you want from your team. The second one is determination. So in a team, you want people to never, ever give up. You want to see, it might be in the armed forces. That's what within the armed forces, the team dynamic, one of the most important things within that is determination. Seeing that somebody's just not going to give up. It doesn't matter what you throw at them. They're determined. They just keep going. And especially when times get tough, when things are difficult. That's what you want in your teammates, isn't it? In sports, in football, I mean, I'm a big football fan. When you're watching teams, really great teams, they never ever give up. They might go a goal behind, they might be losing, but they don't give up. They've still got that belief, but they just keep going. And that's what you want in your team. You want people who, when they're pushed back, when the chips are down, they dig their heels in and think, okay, so like now's the time that I work hardest. This is where I put my effort in. This is where I earn my keep. And it's a very mental thing, that is, that not everybody has. Not everybody has that level of determination. So, some individuals have the opposite, where when the going gets tough, they fold and they don't dig their heels in and they run away. It's fight or flight. So it's an innate thing. Can be taught, but that's what you want. And then as a whole, you want the whole team to be determined. You want them to dig in and to fight for you and to fight for the other team members, don't you? So again, it's about trying to identify the people who can deal with that level of determination and grit. The next one is perseverance. So it's connected to determination, but it's determination with overcoming obstacles, perseverance, knowing that there's something better coming if they adjust their approach. And so it may be that it's also about foresight, that the people who are good at persevering, or teams that are good at persevering, are the ones who can see that even when it feels like it's over, it's not really finished, it's not really over, and there's something better coming after. But to get to that better thing, you need to adjust your approach and just work with it and try and figure out an alternative way to ease the better times coming. And that's perseverance. And that's like, for example, you want people who, in your team, so you have especially, this is topical at the moment because I know how difficult it is for people looking for jobs and everything else. But it's the difference between the people who send out CVs and after 10 CVs, they say, I can't get a job. There's no jobs out there. I just can't do it. And the people who put out 10 CVs and don't get an interview and say, okay, no, I'm going to keep going because I know that at some point it's going to come good and I'm going to get an interview. And they don't stand still. So they know that's coming. So they keep working with it. So they'll find little adjustments. Okay, so how can I adjust my CV slightly this way? How can I adjust my approach? Maybe sending it through Indeed isn't the best way. Maybe if I call up and ask if I can come and hand it in personally, maybe that could work. Maybe if I try and be a bit more creative in this process of perseverance, trying to get to my goal. Those are the people that you want dealing in your business, in your team. Because ultimately, those are the people that when it's not just when there's like a short, sharp shock and a short, sharp crisis, but when things aren't going right and it feels a bit, for example, now, a really, really good example is now with all the lockdowns and all the restrictions because of COVID, everybody's on furlough, especially in hospitality. People aren't working now, and it's a very gloomy time. But the people who the businesses who have very persevering teams and team members are the ones who ultimately are going to win. So it's the ones who say, okay, this is difficult, but we're going to get through this, and we're going to figure out. And how can we use this time? We know better times are coming, but how can we use this time to make, when that better time comes, make us even better? And those are the team members that you really want around you, is the perseverance. In sports, you want the people who you want the sports people in teams, football, whatever. I imagine it's the same in basketball, American football, baseball, whatever. You've got those team members who think to themselves, right, okay, we're under the cosh here, we might be losing, but I'm going to get another chance to score a goal. And it's those people who can turn things around because they're there waiting for that opportunity and trying new things. How can I increase the chance of me being in a place to score a goal again? So those are the people that you want to fill your team. And so the truly great teams, the ones who get to the top, they win all the championships, those are the ones who are full of team members who all think that way and think, how am I going to capitalise when this opportunity comes along, even though we might be losing now? So that's perseverance. The next one is creativity and creative thinking. And these are the outside of the box thinkers. These are the ones who can think of a way to solve a problem. And if we don't have those people, again, the overcoming of problems and the domination of your field don't ever happen. When we were still living in caves or out on plains or whatever else, it was the creative thinkers who would sit there with their flint and they'd be carving out a deer from an antler. So they'd be doing this artwork and they'd be carving out this deer, but their brain would be working. They're thinking creatively, and the reason why that's important is because in that moment when they're doing that carving and they're carving out their deer, and they've got the antlers and they've got the head and they've got the legs, then their brain starts to drift and starts to imagine, okay, well, what if we could drive the deer down to the river, and what if we can have people on the other side of the river waiting in ambush? What if we drive the deer across the river, and as they go across the river and they come out the other side, we can ambush them the other side? And it's only because it's in that moment he's getting lost in the creative process of carving this deer into that. And so that individual has incredibly overcome a problem or provided a solution that can help dominate. And it's the same in business. It's the same marketing. Okay, so how can we get our message across in a more efficient way to more people and have them engage more with our message? How do we do that? Or in business, how do we provide a better service to our customers? How do we a better experience in hospitality, for example? So creative thinkers can be introvert or extrovert. They can be both ends of the spectrum, and you've got to manage them accordingly, because the extrovert, the creative thinker extrovert, is going to want to explore their creativity through flamboyance and through demonstrations. So how does that affect your team dynamic? How do you control that element? That's important. The introvert will have creativity and will communicate that in a different way. So it's about picking up on the creativity and not stifling the creativity of an introvert, because they may be shy. They may not want to share what they're thinking or the solution that they've come up with. So you've got to give them the platform to do that. And it's important to know, for everybody to know, if you're the leader or the head of the team, it's important to let everybody know that you've got that in you, that you will always allow everybody, regardless of their personality type, to have an input into the team equally, and knowing that there's no ridicule, everybody's free and as free as possible to express their creativity, their thoughts, their desires, what they think should happen. So without creative thinkers in your team, or without a creative thinking team, it's impossible to break through ceilings or to get to the very top and dominate a sport or an industry or a business. Because it's only with those creative thinkers are you able to go up against the best and compete against the best and get the upper hand, because they're going to find the solutions. They see things that other people don't see. Now, as you can probably see at the moment, in teams, there are different types of people, different personalities, different spirits. So you don't have to, if you're thinking about how do you fit into a team, you don't have to fit in to a specific mold. I'm just explaining what the best setup for a team is, and how that works in a dynamic, in various team dynamics. So the next one that's very important is having leaders within your team. Now, these days, everybody wants to be a leader, don't they? There's a million different videos on YouTube where people talk about the importance of leaders and a public speaker talking about being a leader, but not everybody can be a leader. Not everybody can be a great leader. Everybody thinks that they can be, but not everybody can be. But they're essential. They're absolutely essential to every great team. And the reason why not everybody can do it is because you have to be very strong-minded, but you have to have certain attributes to be a really great leader. And people might have some of them, and that's what gives them the false confidence that they're a great leader. But they'll be missing others, and that's what you've got to identify. Is this person a true leader, a true great leader, or do they have another role? And leaders are many things. They can, but one of their greatest assets is their ability to be able to teach and motivate other people around them. So, and that's not as easy as it sounds. It's not about just saying, okay, here's what you need to do. This is how you do it. Go and do it. It's about being able to treat each individual as an individual based on their personality type, and then tailor your instruction and your motivation to that person's personality. And that's a really difficult task. Because again, if you go through all of the things, all of the people that I'm talking about, the creative thinkers, the extroverts, the introverts, all of these different people, it's a difficult task to be able to deal with each person on an individual basis. So that's why, as a leader, if you're a leader yourself, or if you have leaders within your team, you've got to be a great psychologist. You've got to be able to get into the mind and influence the minds of others. You've got to get through the fog of the mind of another individual, and their hopes and dreams and their prejudices and their biases and their fears and their things that annoy them. You've got to figure out what makes them tick. And it's about motivating them at the right moment, at the right time. There's certain individuals that if you give them a bollock and if you shout at them to do something in the heat of the moment, they're going to react really badly. There's other people who react really well to that and close down. Okay, no, that's it. Like, I know what I need to do now. There's other people who you need to give soft instruction to. There's other people that you need to give constant praise to. There's other people that you don't need to give constant praise to. It doesn't bother them. That's not their thing. You've got to be able to motivate each individual. And so if you're looking for leaders within your team, you've got to be able to identify them and nurture them. And you've got to be able to help them to learn how to be a great leader. So you identify these features and attributes that a leader has, but then you've got to teach them how to be a great leader, and that's not always easy either, because sometimes they don't want to see it, because being a leader is about being confident, and confidence can sometimes overflow into arrogance or cockiness. And so some people aren't ready to be proper leaders. They might have the attributes, but they don't have the mentality to be a great leader. And if you don't structure your leaders correctly within your team, egos can become a problem. So if you have a few leaders in the team, the egos between the leaders can become a problem if you don't work through a structured process with them where they integrate into that team. I mean, again, going back to sports, for example, you know about teams where you'll have big egos in the team, especially these days, where people end up becoming astronomically rich, and it's that ego of being powerful, money power, which creates the issue. But you see, and the team just doesn't perform because the egos are butting heads, and they can't get around it. So you've got to be able to have a structured process where they integrate together. And a team can be full of leaders, and the best teams in the world are. The best teams in the world are full of almost the whole team are all leaders, and they can all give and take instruction at different times. And that's a beautiful thing to watch. That is, when you have a team of people around you who can, and I'd imagine that this happens a lot in the military, where people can give and take instruction in the battlefield, on the playing field, in the business arena, in wherever it is, where that give and take can take place with no ego, with no kind of getting the hump that somebody asked you to do something, or you've asked somebody to do something, they've got the hump with you. And the way that's done is through humility. The only way you can have a lot of leaders in a team is if you pick leaders who are also humble, who can also recognise that they're not the boss, they're not they're not the most important cog in the machine, that everybody's equally important. So leaders are essential, but also you've got to take stock of your leaders and make sure that they're nurtured in the right way. Another type of team player that is very, very important is the workhorse. And we all know people like this. They're quiet, they never complain, but they just keep plugging away and working and working. And I've worked with some incredible workhorses in my time. People who, I love these people because they're just underrated. They just keep going. In family groups, in friend groups as well. You know the people, the ones who are always there. The ones who are always there and always ready to be there for you. And always get involved, always get muddy. They don't care. They're just always there and keep going. Same in sports teams. You've always got the ones who are the utility men or women who just keep going, keep working hard. In football, it's the one who keeps putting in the tackle, who never gives up. The ones that gets everybody off their feet and they're all clapping because he's just putting an incredible tackle out of nowhere. Those are the workhorses, and those are as important as your leaders because they're like the foundation. They're the ones who never complain. They just keep delivering time after time. It's so important to have those people because those are the people who set the example to everybody else in your team. And so you also have to motivate them in the right way. And it's important to always let them know that you're appreciative of their hard work, and you need to show them appreciation because they won't shout about themselves. They'll never stand up and they'll never say, "Well, what about me? Why aren't you recognizing me? Why aren't you showing that you appreciate my work?" They'll usually keep quiet, and And that's when you can have a situation where you've got a workhorse who stops being a workhorse, and they start kind of, okay, well, why should I if nobody's seeing me? So again, you've got to recognise, you've got to identify these people who are really kind of essential to your business. And that's the job of a great people manager, isn't it? The next one is integrity. Now, this is a big one, especially in business, because more and more these days, people feel there's a disconnect. And there's loads of reasons for the disconnect, but there's a disconnect between a business wanting people to put in more effort than just the minimum to get paid, and the people thinking that they only go to work to get paid and do the bare minimum. There's that disconnect. Companies always want to motivate their individuals to go the extra mile, go further. But in reality, when people have got their home life or lack of home life because they're always working and they don't get paid a lot of money, it's very difficult, and there's a disconnect there. So it's important in your team, in any circumstances, to find people with integrity who are good at timekeeping. That's a good sign of integrity. People who can turn up on time or turn up early every day for work or for whatever they're doing. Because it shows that they understand the importance of timing to the whole operation and being prepared. That's something that's missing from an awful lot of people these days, I find. And so again, that's why it's even more important to find people with integrity. The ones who, okay, so they're not going to lie. They're not going to tell porky pies. They're not going to lie. They're, for good or bad, they'll tell you the truth. They'll be straight down the line and tell you how it is, whether you want to hear it or not. It's really good to hear to have people who are direct. It's the people who are going to hold their hand up straight away and say, I've made a mistake. I've messed up here. I've messed up. Sorry, that was me. And so I guess in sports, those are the ones who they make a mistake and then they you see them put their hand up and turn to everybody, look, that was me, that was. Because once you know that there's an issue, you can deal with it straight away, and that's their show of integrity. And so integrity for me is one of the most important things in any team is to have a team full of people who have high levels of integrity. And it's kind of not like, you don't want a team of people who maybe lie, don't really care, come to work early, not really bothered, manipulate other people. Wow. Like if I can get somebody else to do my job, I will do. Minimum effort for my wage, for my pay. And so those are the people that you don't want. And so the challenge is, if you're creating a team, is to figure out, how do I identify the people who have integrity? And there's little things that you can do to test that integrity, or to demonstrate that that's really important for you. I mean, I had, just as an example, I had a deputy manager who worked for me, and hi, if you're watching this, you might know who you are. She turned up to work. She'd only just started working with me, so it was important for me to demonstrate my expectation of her integrity. Because she was my deputy, she needed to be the example that everybody else needed to follow with regards to integrity. So she turned up the one day, first kind of within the first couple of months of working for me, turned up and didn't have her work key, a clock in, clock out key, and the key that was used for everything, for sales and everything else. She turned up for work without the key. That's it. And I said, no. You need to get back in your car and you need to go and get your key. Because the integrity of you coming to work and showing that you're able to bring everything with you and do your work to the best of your abilities is essential. It's non-negotiable. So I sent her home, and she didn't like it at the time. But I think that she, from that experience, she learned a lesson. She knew that that's it. I wasn't messing about. You go and get it. and I'll wait. It's okay. I'll be put out. It doesn't bother me. So it's important that you integrity for me is one of the main things, because once you've got the integrity, once people know that they need to give 100% for all of the basics and be honest about everything, then that's a good basis. That's a good place to start. The next one is the next kind of attribute that people should have is to be a helper or a team player. I know that's kind of a cliche. Team players, are you a team player? But it's important. It's really important. And what does team player mean? Team player means that these people aren't just in it for themselves. These team members aren't just there just to come, just to do their thing, and then that's it. Then we're off. No. These are the people who come into a team and they look to help other people. What are there any other people who are struggling? Are there people who've got a harder workload than me? Do they need help? Like, I've finished what I'm doing. Can I help? Instead of going and taking a break or whatever, can I help that other person? What are they doing? So it's important for people to have empathy, for team members to have empathy, to see when somebody's struggling. Okay, I'm going to go and help that person. So that comes from, again, I always take it back to the primal, and the primal is that back when we were kind of tribal and nothing else, those were the people who, on a hunt, right, we're going on a mammoth hunt today, we're going on a woolly rhinoceros hunt today, and those are the people who would see that somebody was in danger. The rhino has turned around and is now looking at the person, and is just about to charge this other person. And so the team players were the ones who would run towards the danger, wave their hands and create a distraction, and somebody else would come and they'd create a distraction, and then somebody else would come and that's another distraction. And so suddenly the rhino stops and it's like looking around. It doesn't know where to attack. But that's team players. That's not looking and going, I'm not going over there because I might get hurt. It's seeing that your teammate is in trouble. I'm going to go and help, and figuring out how to help them. Yeah. And that's the essence of being a really, really great team player. And again, like, for that to have been lost from our teams, from our family units, from our social circles, from just society, for the large part, because we've all been pushed back and back and back into our homes, we've lost that ability to see people who are in trouble and say, look, what can I do for you? Can I help you? Let me help you. Let me do that. Give me those bags. See somebody struggling with bags. Give me that bag, and I'll carry it for you. There we are. We've shared the problem. We've shared the issue now. So team players are super, super important. And the other thing that they're really good at is motivating other people in the right way. So again, it's not always, it can be going and helping somebody can be done in a way that looks like you're hiding, like you're doing it for you to show that you're better than that person. Oh, well, let me do your job for you. I've done my job, finished my job. Let me do your job. But the good team player is the one who can go and do it in the right way. Can I help you? Do you need help? No, you don't need help. Okay, no problem. Let me. I'll just take this. I'll take this away for you so that you can. And you don't ask for anything in return. You're just helping. That's what great teams do. And so reverting it back to sports or whatever, football, the great team players are the ones who can see their teammate in trouble, and they'll bust the gut to go and help. They might be defending, they might be in trouble, they might be attacking, and they don't know where to pass the ball. And that's the element where they always say, go and offer yourself, go and offer that player can pass the ball to you, because he's in trouble. He's looking around and he can't see anybody that he can pass to. So it's that sort of, again, it's primal that we help each other. So helpers and team players are really, really important. I'm getting dry up in this place. So the next one is critical thinkers. So you want people in your team and your team as a whole to be very critical thinking, to see a situation clearly for what it is without emotion. So not getting upset, not getting overly excited, but seeing the situation and saying, okay, how do we get from A to B based on the current situation? And again, remember the adaptability part. The current situation may be like this, may not be linear. So it's a case of looking at it critically and saying, okay, what do we need to do? What is the reality of this situation? And how do we get out? And so critical thinkers are very good at quickly coming up with a plan of action. And that's what you want. You want them to be able to do that so that it's not you're not a stagnant team. You're not a team that doesn't know how to get out and exist, because at the end of the day, that's where teams and groups go extinct. It's where businesses go out of business because you haven't got people who want to accept what the reality is. In COVID now, if you're a business owner, you need to look at this. You need to start, if you're not already, is looking at it clearly. It's upsetting. It's very upsetting. It's devastating to a lot of people. Devastating. But you need to get past that emotion and you need to say, okay, what is the reality of my situation? It might take me 2, 3, 4, 5. It might take me a week. It might take me 2 weeks to look at my situation, my financial situation, to look at how we're going to move forward, to look at the safeguards I'm going to put in place so that we can reopen the business later. And look at it and create a plan of action based on what the reality is. And that's critical thinking. So as a team, you want a team that are able to do that, and that would make the actual strength of your operation a lot stronger. And it's going to take you where you want to get to. So that's you definitely need critical thinkers in your team. This coffee's getting progressively colder. The next one is trust. You want people to have trust in each other. 100% trust. You want them to have the confidence to rely on each other, to people to perform their roles well. They're not going to let you down. So again, just going back to the rhino hunt, the woolly rhino. What you don't want is so you set up your game plan and you say, okay, we're going to drive this rhino into this area. Then we're all going to, if you attack from this side, we're going to attack from this side. When it spins round to you that side, we'll hit its flank with our spears this side. It's not going to like it. It's going to spin back to us. We need you to hit the heart from that side. It's going to take it down. Right? So you go into the battle. The rhino's side on. They hit it with their spears in its side, on its flank. It turns round. It's angry, as you can imagine a rhino would be. It spins round. And they're looking at the guy on the other side who's supposed to hit the heart. And the guy on the other side, it's one of his first times, and he's shaking a little bit, and he's scared, and he's hesitating. And they're saying, well, our spears, now, we're defenceless. We don't know what to do. You're now not doing your job. So for the next one, then, for the next hunt, if they get out of that alive, they've lost trust in that one member now. So that's where it's so important to have trust. Everybody has trust in each other. And the way that you gain trust is where you've got a team who all have integrity and are adaptable and are determined and everything else. And they've won many battles together, or lost battles as well. But that's how the trust is gained, is when teams are able to actually go through operations together and come out the other side and realise that, oh yeah, I can trust that person. And I was in this situation, that person, they helped me through. They didn't let me down. So trust is absolutely essential. And trust also comes from learning what the other team members are good at. What are they good at? What are they a little bit weaker at? What are the things that I have to compensate? How do they compensate me? So again, think about your friend and your family dynamics. Think about how they work. The people who you trust. Like you know who you can rely on or who you can't rely on. This is what great teams have, is that trust running throughout. People that you do, like there's members, I don't have a lot of close family members, but the family members that I do have, I'd do anything for them. If they asked me to go and help them next week with anything, they might be moving house next week. Could you come and help? Yeah, yep. I'll help. Let me know. I'm going to go and do this. Will you come and help? Let me know. Even really difficult things, even things, I don't know, just things that are difficult. Like, will you come and help? Yeah, of course I will. It's that trust, knowing who you can rely on. And that is essential to any team. The next one is motivation. So you need every team member. You need a motivated team as a collective, but you need every team member to be motivated, to add to that collective motivation. You need everybody to want to do what they're doing. And it's not always obvious, so you've got to figure out what that motivation is. It's you can't have everybody motivated by the same things. Some people it's financial, some people it's that they want to, I don't know, they want progression in whatever they're doing. For other people it may be the interaction, it could be anything. But wanting to do whatever their role is in that team is a very individual thing, and you've got to figure out what that motivation is. So if you've got a team full of individuals who aren't just there for the payday, their motivation is more than that. That's gold dust. It's really gold dust. And again, I've had teams, I've worked in teams myself, and I've had teams who I've managed who are like that, and the whole team is fully motivated, fully engaged, and it's beautiful. It's really nice. I mean, I know I've also had the opposite, where I've walked into a team that I've got to change. It's an existing team that I've got to change and develop, and the dynamic's completely different. You've got people who are kind of slumped. They're not bothered. It's a thankless task at times where you've got to keep trying to drive them, and eventually many of them leave because they just don't like that need to want to do the work. But when you've got a team that's full, when you've changed the team to how you want it to be, and your team's full of motivated people, it's beautiful. That feeling when somebody comes through the door and they're happy they smile. They might even be having a bad time outside of work, and when they come to work, they're smiling. They're happy to see you. You have that connection. You enjoy everybody. Everybody enjoys being with each other. And that's what you've got to try and aim to do with your team. It's that motivation. It's that genuine motivation level that you need to try and get to. Because it's only then that the real kind of unstoppable force comes in, where everybody wants it as much as each other. It's something. It's really, really something when you're part of something like that. The next element is inspiration or admiration. So within a team, once everybody trusts each other and everybody's kind of they work well together, they're motivated, what you tend to find is that everybody kind of works hard and ends up naturally setting examples for each other. So, I admire that the work ethic of that person. I really admire. People might not be saying it to each other, but you can see it. Or the way that person performs their specific role. God, that's brilliant. In football, for example, you might have one player at a club who talks about their teammate and they say, he's the best in the league. Best in the league at scoring goals. Brilliant. God, any team would want to have him. It's that admiration of what that person brings to your team. And that's what inspires people to be better. Because if that person performs their role that well, wow, so can I. Like, I can as well. I'm good at what I do. And so I can do it. And then somebody else has admiration for you. And then somebody else has admiration for that person. And it goes round and it's really good. That's really good for the team. Because it's a very motivating feeling. When somebody says, wow, like that was really cool what you just did. That was amazing. You go, thank you. Like, thank you very much. I really appreciate that. But that's a real motivation then the next time. So you've heard that once. And so now it becomes a thing that you do. Because it's nice to have people admire what you do and show their appreciation of what you do. So wanting to do it for yourself, but also for the others around you, that's inspirational. So it might be the leaders, or it might be anybody. It could be the workhorses. I remember I had one woman who used to work for me, and I'll never forget her, and still talk to her now. But she was a workhorse, and when I came into the business, she was one of the people who were demotivated. So she was a workhorse who'd stopped being a workhorse, and it was just about, okay, I'll just do the minimum, get my money. And at the start, she was one of the team members who I felt maybe wasn't right for my team because of these factors that I'm telling you now. She wasn't highly adaptable. She was demotivated. She didn't know what to do. She didn't want to do too much. She was a bit of a pain in the arse sometimes. She would complain. So not what workhorses do. But then over time, I gained her trust. She gained my trust. And we started to develop a rapport. And so then her levels started to rise, her work levels, her motivation started to increase. And then eventually, I figured out that one of the things that motivated her was good feedback. So I started to praise her, and I started to show her that I admired what she did. How hard she worked, it was inspirational, and I'd tell her. And so then what happens then is it rubs off on other people, and other people start to become impressed with how that person works. So the other team members were impressed with her, with how hard she worked, with how much effort she put in. And that rubbed off on them. So they told her, God, you work your bum off. You're running around here doing the job of 3 people. And she enjoyed that. That was the well, people are naturally recognizing what I'm doing. What a feeling. And so that was inspiring other people then. They were like, okay, so I've got to work harder, and like, wow. And so other people then recognized their work, and that was inspiration. And so suddenly, again, this kind of cyclical admiration becomes really motivating, and everybody's, okay, yeah. And that's where you go in, oh, that's amazing. And then somebody else says to you, God, how you did that, that's incredible. And you're like, oh, thanks, thank you. Really appreciate that. Really appreciate you saying that. And that grows cohesion. That grows bonds between everybody. When people are naturally, you're not saying it for any other reason. You're being genuine. You're saying, I really admire the way that you work, the way that you do your job. Oh, thanks. I admire how you do that element of your job. Wow. Like, that's amazing. And so that really creates cohesion. Cohesion is very important. So that leads me on to bonds. So the bonds that team members have. Close bonds between your team members is extremely important. You want them to become almost like family. You want them to see each other as more than just workers. You want them to be friends. And this can be achieved, especially if you've just started a team, but through team building at the start. And the team building can be formed as activities that require people to work together and to figure out solutions to problems. So traditional team building activities, or team building where you go away somewhere as a group and you do team building together. But it can also be when people go out together and socialise and form bonds that way. So when people finish work, encourage them to have a drink together. Why don't you stay and have a drink? Why don't you go out and have a drink? All of these things, but not to the detriment of the business, but all of these things create this these bonds that are very difficult to break. If you feel like family and you can trust each other and you know each other really, really intimately, it's very, very important. But it's also, within a team, it's also important to fix when bonds break, when people fall out. It's important to fix that quickly. Really important to fix that quickly so that it doesn't create rifts in your team. And again, going back to the animal kingdom, rifts form in teams all the time in primate groups, which are our closest relatives in the animal kingdom. They break all the time. And it splits groups into different groups, and they end up fighting and everything else. You can't afford to do that. If you want harmony around you, you can't afford to allow rifts to split the group. So the way to do it is you've got to have whoever's got the problem, whoever's had the falling out or the argument or whatever else, to come together, the people as fast as possible. So whenever that has happened. Whenever the falling out has happened, it's important to get the people together as fast as possible. If it's escalated to a high level, let the people calm down and then bring them back together. If it's not, if it's just kind of what we call in England handbags, where people are just having an argument, bring them together quickly, almost straight away, and tell them to just be honest. And how do you feel? Just get it out. Just have an argument. Just get it out, and then we'll fix it again after, and then we'll go back to being close and cohesive. And it may be that you need a referee in between. So it may be, if you're a manager, it may be you need to be the referee. You need to be there, and you need to have them speak to each other, and you need to referee the conversation so that it doesn't come into insults and everything else. Or it may be that you trust them, that they can figure it out themselves. Like go and talk about it. Go over there, or go out and have a coffee together, and just sort it out. Come back when you've had a coffee, and let me know how you got on. That's it. But it needs to be fixed quite quickly within a team. The next one is the focus to get the job done. So it's very important that team members in a team know what the objective is and know the plan of action to reach the goal. And to know what the expectations are, to know the reason for being in the team. What's your reason? Why are you there? Like, what is the reason for this team? So you need to know what the focus is. Like, if you think about a football team, you have some football teams who just like muddle on through. There's no real objective. Their objective is just to exist. And they're not the funnest teams to be part of, are they? But then you've got the teams who want to compete at the top. So they say, okay, our objective is this. And as a result, they start to recruit team members, players, who are focused on that goal to win a championship. So certain players will be focused. I don't want to go this way. I don't want to. I'm not going to go to one of these teams because I know that they're not going to head for the goal that I want to achieve. I'm going to make a move to a team who want to achieve what I want to achieve. So it's all aligned. So it's about understanding the objectives and not getting distracted or thinking that other things are more important. You need team players that when they're in the operation, whatever the operation is for your team, again, sports, military, a charity, an organisation, business, family unit, friends unit, whatever it is, when you're in an operation, you want people to know that is what they're focused on, nothing else, not distracted by anything else, and just do it to the best of their ability. That's all you can ask, is that they do it to their that they stay focused on the job at hand and they do it to the best of their ability. And that's it. You don't want them to see whatever the objective of your team is. You don't want them to see it as playing second fiddle to other things that they've got their mind on. Everybody needs to read from the same hymn sheet. So there always needs to be a really defined objective in teams. Otherwise, a team won't go anywhere. Won't achieve anything. Everybody needs to read from the same hymn sheet. So what you want, ideally, is that once you've set your team up, once you've got your team, once the team has been trained and drilled, and they know kind of the philosophy of the operation and everything that you're doing. Ideally, is you want some people to be able to ask them, what's the philosophy of this team? What's your objective? And you want people to answer, well, the philosophy is this. So I'm trying to use different examples. So sports, family, military. I'm trying to use different examples just so that you can see that it works throughout. These same elements work throughout any team. So in this case, a family unit. What's your philosophy of your team, of your family? And so you want anybody in there to say, okay, well, our family does this. Every Christmas we do this. Every birthday we all do this. Every Easter we get together and we have dinner as a family. We do this. We send presents. That's our family thing. That's our philosophy. You want to go into a business and you want to say, okay, what's your philosophy? Like, what's the most important thing for your business, for your team? Talk a hospitality team, for example. What's the most important thing here in this business? And you want them to answer whatever it be. Well, like for us, it's just we're kind of fast paced. We want to make those sales. We want to hit those sales, no matter what it is. It's like in out. We want to do it. Or it might be another team that says, do you know what? Our customers are first every single time. We just want to make sure they have a great experience. That's our philosophy. Regardless of everything else. Everything else is secondary. The customer experience is the most important thing. So that's what you want, is your whole team. It doesn't matter who you ask. You go and ask the chef. You go and ask the waiter. You go and ask whoever you want to ask. They will always answer the same. That's what you want to achieve. And the philosophy comes from whoever is the head of your team. So in the military, it might be the commanding officer. In a business, it's the manager. In your family, it might be the head of the household, the dad, or the grandfather, or the grandmother, or whoever's like the matriarch, patriarch, whatever. The philosophy needs to come from that person, because it needs to be a manager, a coach, or a leader. And it needs to be that because they've built the team around around their philosophy. It needs to be very clear that it's come from a central point. It can't have been grown with a bit here and a bit here and a bit here and a bit here. It needs to have some cohesion. It needs to come from somewhere. And that top person needs to give clear and defined goals, always clear and defined goals and expectations. So what's expected? How do we expect to do it? What are the red lines? What are the things that you have to do that you can't say that you're not going to do? Or it's really important that the top person, the manager, is able to communicate that very, very clearly to the team. So that there's no confusion, there's no illusion. And then how are you going to get there? What's the pathway to achieve what you want to achieve? How do we do it? And very often it's not, the path to an objective or a goal is often not a set of tasks. The pathway is actually made up of just going through the motions, but following the philosophy of how the mentality, the psychological philosophy of how you go about business from day to day, how you work hard, how you practice critical thinking, how you be creative in how coming forward with ideas for how to overcome things, it's that process that's more important. That's the pathways, the process, more so than a set of tasks. So the pathway is of how you're going to get there, how you're going to get to your objective, or how you're going to achieve your objective, is communicating to your team the process that you're going to use. So it's all the small things. It's okay. So what do we do? What do we do together? How do we treat each other? How do we treat our customers? What do we do at this time of day? When this happens, what do we do? How do we react when this happens? Are we determined? Do we fight it? Do we step back? Do we help each other? It's all of those things that create the process, which is the pathway to the objective. It's not a series of steps. It's a philosophy of how you behave and how you are. And so it's the other expectations of as I say, of the other members of the team, how they behave with each other, not just within the team, within the group, but when they're outside of the group. Well, this is a philosophy that's kind of about making sure that the people who are in your team, in your close circles, all kind of, they know who they are and they know what they belong to. They know that they belong to this group, to this team. And that's really, really important. It's so being in a team, it is just being in a great team is just a wonderful, wonderful thing. And it seems that this has all started to kind of break down a little bit now. And when I say that, I mean within society, teams in society. Now it's become kind of, it's not taking the best elements of society and putting them into teams, and then those people are creating a team for the good of a good objective. When you look, there's no, all of these elements that I've just spoke about now. They don't belong they don't exist in these teams. Determination, these days people give up when they're trying to make a change. Adaptability. Well, okay. So what's the current situation? How do we adapt? Well, I'm not. I want to stick to my philosophy. This is what I think the world should be. So I'm going to stick to this. Well, yeah, but you've fallen behind because the rest of the world's carrying on and changing and doing this and doing that. But you're stuck here thinking about this one thing. So we all need to start. In my opinion, we need to start getting back to teams. And as I say, if you're creating a team of people for something, then please just use what I'm saying to the points that I've made. Just use them. Just write them down as you go through and just say, okay, these are the things I need to look for in members of my team, and this is what I need to look for and kind of monitor with my team as a whole. Make sure that this team's going to be successful, because otherwise, what's the point? But life's about teams. Life's about having really, really good teams around you, the people that you can rely on and trust, and that's what we've always got to be working on. Teams are brilliant. I love team dynamics. I love the ability to achieve something greater as a whole than you would as just the individual. It's a really beautiful thing. So that's the first one done. First one back after 2020 promised us that 2021 would be better, and but I'm sure that 2021 will be better if we all work as a team and we all get back to loving each other and ignoring all the rubbish that's going on. I've got COVID hair and I just don't care at the moment. So I need to try and see if I can get a sneaky haircut from my barber at some point, because we're still locked down over here in Wales. So it's not fun. But so if you've got any questions about teams, teamwork, if you're creating a team and you want to ask me, recruitment is my thing, kind of recruiting a really great team, and I can help you to figure that out. I always say that recruitment is it's personal to the person creating the team. So I can say I'll come and recruit for you. I'm happy to come and do it. If you let me know, I'll come and recruit for you. If you prefer to just deal with a group and manage that group, then I could recruit for you. It's not a problem. But I always say that it's personal to the person creating the team, because it's you that's going to be able to identify the other elements that match with your personality as the lead, as the head of that team. So welcome to 2021. Let's just hope that it's all going to pan out and it's all going to get a little bit better, and people start to see the world for what it really is, which is a wonderful, wonderful place. So, yep, I'd love to hear some of your comments. Drop them down below. And subscribe for more videos, more drinks with Chris. Hit the little bell notification next to the subscribe to not miss a video. I'll post every week, either on a Friday or a Saturday. And you're more than welcome. I enjoy these chats and I enjoy hearing what people think. So thanks for coming and listening again. Here's to 2021. And I'll see you next week. Thanks very much. Grab a drink. Come and sit down and let's talk next week. Thank you very much. Take care. Bye-bye.